I'm Michael Finley, author of The Tesla Conspiracy, and I'm adding some more videos regarding how to defend yourself with everyday items. Now, one item that a lot of people have on them is either an umbrella or a cane, and often those have a rounded handle. And there's a lot you can do with this. So we're going to talk about some self-defense techniques. Remember, anytime you're dealing with any kind of thing being used as a weapon, it can be dangerous. So be careful if you're trying this at home. The idea is not to give you really a martial arts lesson, because I'm not a martial arts expert. I have had some martial arts training, I have had some self-defense training, and I know that everything is a weapon. So we're going to investigate some fairly basic things about how to use this as a weapon. One of the things to keep in mind with any object you use for self-defense is you need to become familiar with the object. You need to understand what it feels like, how it feels in your hand, how it moves. Okay? One of the things I've been practicing with this particular one that I picked up at a thrift store is to change positions on it very easily. I'm keeping my fingers closed like this the whole time. And just do I grab tightly or not? If I loosen up my grip just a little bit without opening it, I can slide this up and down very quickly and change the position to use for different purposes. Okay? Now, one of the things to keep in mind for a long object is the main benefit here is to keep the attacker at a distance from you, or to strike them at a distance from you and keep the fight away from you. There are some more advanced techniques you can do to hook arms and things and get in close to the attacker. And for some of those, it may be better if you take a more advanced self-defense class. But just to give you some basic ideas. So we have a volunteer to be an attacker tonight. And of course, in classic bad guy fashion, he has a bandana and sunglasses on and will be completely unidentifiable, just like in real life. And so, but to show you a few places that are vulnerable to attack, I'd like you to step over here closer to me. Now, the most vulnerable part on a person that is never protected is their shins. If I were to whack him good in the shins, I'm going to hurt him badly. Next is the knees. Okay? Another thing that will hurt badly is the hands and the elbows. So let's say that he has a knife in one of his hands. This is a very dangerous plastic picnic knife. So if I were to hit the back of his hand, there's a good likelihood that he opens his hand and loses that knife. Okay? I also might be able to grab here and slide down, knocking the knife out of his hands. Another important thing to keep in mind, we mentioned this before when we were talking about rolled up magazines being used like a club, is if you strike the side of the neck, there's a nerve along there, and that will almost certainly knock somebody out if you hit them hard. It can also kill them. Another thing to keep in mind is any major muscle area you hit will most likely injure that muscle and make it hard for them to use. So if I were to hit his shoulder muscle, if I were to hit his tricep or his bicep or his forearm, I'm probably going to hurt him badly. Also, if he's got his arm up in an attack, if I come down on the ribs, slightly downward angle here, there's a lot of nerves along those ribs, and this is a pressure point, especially with a hard object. Okay? Not only that, I can break a rib. I don't know if you've ever had a cracked or broken rib before. I have. And it's almost impossible to breathe or do anything with a cracked rib. So if you can get them really hard in the ribs, especially the lower ribs that are much easier to break, you're probably going to stop the fight pretty quickly. Also, if someone's charging at me and I've got the cane here, I can just lift this right up and get him right in the belly, let him run into the cane. Okay? Now my arm is bent, and I'm going to absorb some of the impact like this, but I want him to run into that cane and hurt himself. I can direct that to his gut. I can direct it towards his crotch. Let him run right into it. Take him right down. Okay? Also, of course, hitting him right on top of the head is going to cause a lot of pain as well. To the side of the head at the temples, often can kill somebody. So it just depends on whether you feel like you need to kill him to save your life, or you just want to injure him, disable him. Okay. Another trick is, let's say that we're fighting and he ends up getting past me this way. So that we fought, I can hook under his crotch and pull up into his crotch with that. And this hook will come right in and hurt him some pretty badly stuff over there. So that's a lot that can be done with just a cane. Okay. Now for more advanced techniques, we may be sliding this up and grabbing an arm and hooking it, coming in and fighting. Okay. We also may come across the arm and the neck and do some type of a lock. We can also hook around the neck with a cane and throw the person. So there's lots that can be done with it. If somebody's really good with a cane, and this particular bad guy happens to be really good with a cane, they can do all kinds of things with it. And so he can use that like it was a martial arts staff, because of his familiarity with how to work with long objects like this. So that's just one of the things we can use for self-defense. But again, I would recommend your first attack, if someone's charging you, right up to the belly. Second thing, if you go to, if I pull this up to use as a bat and I spin this around like this, now if I start to swing at him, what's he going to do? He's going to protect his upper body, right? Guess what's wide open? His leg, his shin, his knee, his thigh, his side are all wide open, okay? And even with his arms up like that, if I hit his elbow, he's going to be hurting. So it changes just me swinging this around. Even if I'm not good and don't know much about what I'm doing, all of a sudden I don't look as tempting as a victim anymore. And that's a big part of self-defense, is letting the attacker know you're not going down without a fight, and they're going to be hurt in the process. Maybe they'll move on to somebody else who's an easier target. Maybe they'll go home and decide to get a job. Anyway, that's our self-defense ideas for this particular segment. Thank you. Did you push this?